Hey everyone, here's some more Pyraminx Walkthroughs. So the average was 3.02 and I'm pretty happy with the execution as the scrambles weren't that lucky. I averaged about like 3.3, so you can always say what I could have done better in the comments. I guess that's about it, and I think we can get right into the solves. This is the first solve, is a 332. So the scramble wasn't that good, and the first V that I looked at was green because it had all the centers orientated. But I decided that it was too inefficient and too spammy, so I decided not to go with that. What I ended up going with was red because I could go like U prime, R prime to solve this edge and orientate that center. And then this edge would end up over there like that, and then I could just insert it. So for tips, what I did was these two like with a push, but in my solve, my execution was that good, and I missed this back tip a little, so I had to do it quickly again, so it's like that. And then I did U prime, R prime, and then here what I did was probably not optimal. I actually regripped so that I could do that. Probably what's more optimal is just going like this. And while that is a small thing in Pyraminx, which is a short event, you really want to try optimizing everything. Anyway, so I did that. And then I think I saw this tip like that. And then I just rotated and did the ao5. So overall, in this solve, my turning wasn't that good and my tip execution wasn't that good. But I'm still pretty satisfied because it wasn't too bad. This is the second solve. It was a 245. So the V that I chose here was the yellow V because not only that you can just do U to make this block, you can actually orientate the center and move this edge up at the same time. And then when you do U, you make these two blocks. So I decided that was pretty good, and I didn't look at any other colors because I knew this is nice. So for tips, this tip is pretty easy. So when you just pick it up, it's pretty easy to do that. Then this tip I saved for when I did the L because I usually like doing the tip at the same time as I turning that layer. So like this, and then I went up and then down, and then like that. So here I realized that the solution was pretty short, so I decided to kind of predict ao5. I didn't one look because it was kind of hard, but I did track where this edge was gonna go, and it was gonna go here. And I knew that because this would bring it to a flip position, and then this would move it up. And then I didn't predict this, but I kind of looked ahead to that while I was rotating, so I just went right into it. And this is a pretty good ao5. It's a super sledge, so you just do an insert and then a hedge. This is the third solve, is a 273. It's a pretty lucky scramble as there's this block here and there are no tips. So first I looked on yellow and I saw that you could make another block by going like U prime, and then I could just orientate the centers like that. But I didn't really like the finger tricks for that case, so I also looked on red, but I couldn't find any way to make another block. So instead I just went back to yellow and I found a different solution here this time. So I realized that I could go like U prime to make this block, and then I could just orientate these centers and there wouldn't be any like having to move the block away. So that's just what I ended up doing with, and I decided that it's pretty ergonomic. And I knew that this edge would end up over here flipped because when I do that, it goes flip. So I didn't really try one looking or anything. And over here, I panicked because I realized that it was a pretty good solve. And so I started doing a U prime for some reason. And then I had to reverse that, and my recognition was bad. And then I just did the hedge, U, hedge. So, not too happy with my execution, but it's a good solve nonetheless. This was the 4 solve, it's a 478. It was a pretty lucky scramble and had some pretty good potential, but I messed up pretty badly. So right away I saw this yellow-blue block and this green-orange block. So first I looked on yellow-blue, and I saw that I could go like U prime, R prime, and then I could orientate and solve that edge with O, U, O prime. But that didn't feel that finger trick friendly for me, so I kept on looking. And in the end, I went with red. So over here, I noticed that I could make a block by doing U prime like that, and that could make a block. Before I did that, I also knew that I could just orientate the center, and that could solve that edge, and that could go in that like that. However, when my execution, I did U prime first, and then I just continued with the rest, which messed up that green orange. So I was a little surprised, and that's partly why the solve wasn't that good. So I just did it like that, and then over here I cube rotated and just inserted the edge like that and did the ao5. So for tips, what I went with was like this to solve those two tips, pretty good. And then I made my mistake here. I cube rotated, then I went down and like that, and I just did the ao5, which isn't that good, and my turning was not good too. So solve wasn't that good, had some pretty good potential though. This is the last solve, is a 3 flat, and really what I noticed in this solve was that there was this block over here, so I decided to work with red and blue. But the problem with red for me was I didn't really like the ergonomics, so I didn't go for that solution. So instead I went with blue with R prime, L, R, and then I would just rotate, insert, and do the ao5. So for tips here, which was pretty convenient, I picked it up and did this tip. Then I went up and down, and then up and down. So those tips were pretty good relative to the normal turns. Then I just went like that, up, and I just inserted this edge. And then I knew that this edge was flipped from inspection and look ahead, so I knew I would just get one of the flipped ao5 edges cases. So then over here again, I just went up and down, so some pretty nice tip cases. And I just turned, and I saw this ao5. I don't really know that many algorithms, I just know one. So I just did U prime, and then did the ao5 and U prime.